Okay, so good morning everyone. The next topic, please take a note, that is stereoisomerism in the biphenyl compounds, atropa-isomerism, and conditions for the optical activity. So in this video we are going to discuss how the stereoisomerism takes place in the biphenyl compounds and what are the conditions for the biphenyl compounds to exhibit the optical activity. So please take a look at it. Okay. See, so what is meant by atropisomerism? It is nothing but it is the stereoisomerism which is exhibited by the biphenyl compound. So first of all, what is meant by biphenyl compound? It contains the two phenyl rings which are joined by the single bond. So this all of you remember regarding the stereoisomerism, what is meant by stereoisomerism? It is the isomerism which is due to the spatial arrangement of atoms in the molecule. In the similar manner, if the stereoisomerism is exhibited by the biphenyl compounds, it is known as the atropisomerism. So see, in the biphenyl compounds, mainly the chirality is due to the restricted rotation around the single bond between the two benzene nuclei. See, these are the two benzene nuclei and this is the bond. So restricted rotation of this bond, because of the restriction in the rotation of this bond, this biphenyl compound will exhibit the stereoisomerism and hence also it exhibit the phenomenon of the chirality. What is meant by chirality? Four different groups must be present around the carbon. That is the phenomenon for the chirality. But here, due to the restricted rotation, in the case of biphenyl compounds, due to the restricted rotation, the compound is said to be chiral. And due to this chiral nature, this molecule will exist in the two forms. What are those two forms? They are the non-superimposable mirror images of each other. See, this is the biphenyl compound. If you are going to substitute X, Y, A and also the B, this molecule is said to be the chiral molecule. And the mirror image of this molecule is considered to be either non-superimposable mirror image, that is known as the enantiomer. So this type of stereoisomerism which is due to the restricted rotation about the single bond is known as the atropisomerism, and these stereoisomers are known as atropisomers. So clear what is meant by atropisomerism? Atropisomerism, it is the stereoisomerism which is due to the restricted rotation of the single bond between the two benzene nuclei. So, what compounds exhibit the atropisomerism? Biphenyl compounds, that too substituted biphenyl compound. This is the structure of the biphenyl compound. So, next one. Coming to the historical development. So in this historical development, we are going to detect the structure, that is how these two benzene nucleus are arranged between, or how this single bond is attached to the two benzene nuclei. That is what is the structure of the biphenyl compounds we are going to detect in the historical development. So the first scientist named Koffler. This Koffler scientist, he proposed the folded butterfly structure. See, this is the folded butterfly structure. Consider these two benzene rings as the rings of the butterfly, and this single bond is the body of the butterfly. So, this Koffler scientist have considered maybe the biphenyl compounds, in the biphenyl compound, that two benzene rings are arranged in this fashion. So based on this, he proposed the chemical behavior of various diphenyl derivatives. For example, see, this is the structure of the condensed product of benzene. What is meant by benzene? It contains the free amino groups. See, he gave structure 2 to the compound obtained by the condensation of benzene with carbonyl chloride. So, this is the condensed product. How this product is obtained? It is due to the condensation of benzene with carbonyl chloride. What is the formula for carbonyl chloride? COCl2. So, this is the condensed product. What is meant by this Koffler proposed structure? This is the folded butterfly structure. And consider benzene, if it is in the folded butterfly structure, then the condensed product should be of this type. This is the proposal of the Koffler. So what is the proposal of the Koffler? First one is the folded butterfly structure. How he have proposed this folded butterfly structure? Based on this, he have taken one example of the product. See, this is known as the condensation product. So how this product is obtained? It is due to the condensation of benzene with that of the carbonyl chloride. So based on this structure, he proposed that maybe the biphenyl compounds may exist in the form of folded butterfly. And next scientist, see, this is the Turner et al. He is the another scientist whose proposal is weakened the Koffler's proposal, because what is meant by Koffler's proposal? The benzene or the biphenyl compounds must exist in the form of the folded butterfly structure. So this Turner et al., he have worked on the condensed product. So this is the condensed product, right? But he have proposed that during the isolation of this product, Turner et al. Found that one of the amino group is free. See, this is the structure of the condensed product. Same this structure only in the form of, see, same it is the structure C6H4, C6H4. These are the two benzene nucleus and NH2 and also the NH2. These are the two amino groups followed by the C double bond O. But what he have proposed this Turner et al. Is one of the amino group is found to be free. So what is the inference of this structure? The structure may not be in the form of the folded butterfly, because in the form in this kind of the structure, see, the two amino groups are not free, right? Because they are in the form of the condensed form. So here, see, one of the amino group it is free. So this Turner et al. Work, it have weakened the Koffler's proposal, because one of the amino group is becoming free. So this is one drawback of the Koffler's proposal, that is folded butterfly structure based on the condensed product of benzene and also the carbonyl chloride. And further, one more proposal it was given by the Barber and also the Smiler. So one is Turner et al. Scientist and other scientist is the Barber and also the Smiler. So these are the two drawbacks for the Koffler's proposal. So what is the proposal of this Barber and Smiler? So this Barber and also the Smiler, they have prepared the 3-dimercapto. Mercapto means this SH is known as thio or mercapto groups, right? So they have prepared the diphenyl derivatives of the dimercapto compound. See, 3, 4 and also 5 are the 3 derivatives of the diphenyl compounds. And on oxidation of these dimercapto derivatives of the diphenyl compounds, only this 3 form it is getting converted into the disulfide bond. Whereas on oxidation of 4 and 5 forms, they are remaining as it is, because they are not getting converted into the disulfide linkage. So only 3 structure is getting converted into the 6, but 4 and 5 is remaining as it is. So this also weaken the Koffler's proposal, because see, in the Koffler's proposal they have proposed butterfly like structure. So folded butterfly structure means all the 3, that is 3, 4 and also the 5 on oxidation. What is meant by oxidation? Either addition of oxygen or removal of the hydrogen. This hydrogen must get eliminated, and 4 and 5 structures also must get converted into the 6. But here only 3 is getting converted into the 6. So this also indicates that the diphenyl compounds, they do not exist in the form of the folded butterfly structure. So this is the drawback of the Koffler's proposal. So understood historical development. What we have learnt in the historical development, we are learning regarding the arrangement of the benzene rings around the single bond. First one is the Koffler's proposal, that is folded butterfly structure. So here this is the folded butterfly structure. So this Koffler have taken the example of the condensed product. So this is the condensed product which is formed due to the reaction between benzene with that of the carbonyl chloride. So this must be the structure according to the Koffler. And what is the drawback? Turner et al. And also the Barber-Smiler's proposal, it have weakened the Koffler's proposal. So what this this Turner et al.'s work revealed, it reveals that one of the amino group is free. So according to Koffler, it is not free. So this is one of the drawback. And what is the drawback for the with respect to the Barber and also the Smiler? He have prepared diphenyl derivatives, mercapto derivatives of the diphenyl compounds, that is 3, 4 and 5. So whenever he is oxidizing all the 3 compounds, only third compound is getting oxidized into the disulfide linkage, whereas 4 and 5 is remaining as it is. So this proposal is weakened, and based on these proposals, it is said that the diphenyl compounds, they are not existing in the form of the folded butterfly, rather than they can be exist in the form of this fashion, that is 2 benzene rings joined by that of the single bond. So the next compound, this is the derivative of the diphenyl compound. This is dinitro diphenyic acid. This is known as dinitro diphenyic acid. See, this dinitro diphenyic acid, it is the first biphenyl or diphenyl derivative to show the optical isomerism. So how this dinitro diphenyic acid is prepared? It is prepared from, see what is this COOC2H5? It is the ester group, ethyl ester of 2-chloro-3-nitro benzoic acid. So this is the substrate or the reactant. It undergoes the Ullmann reaction in the presence of copper and also the bronze, where see here 2 moles you are taking. So here chlorine is getting eliminated, and first it is getting converted into the biphenyls. So what is the second step here? Hydrolysis. So esters on hydrolysis yields acid and also the alcohol. This alcohol, it is getting eliminated and acid is present here. See COOH and COOH. And this is the nitro group and this is the nitro group. So it is said that this is the first compound to exhibit the optical isomerism. Since this compound is exhibiting the optical isomerism, it must exist in the 2 forms. Either it must be enantiomers, that is non-superimposable mirror images, or diastereomers, right? See, this is the first compound to exhibit the optical isomerism. So this optical activity of the acid, it was explained as follows. See, in the diphenyl molecule, the 2 benzene nuclei are collinear. What is meant by collinear? They lies in the same axis. Consider this is the dinitro diphenyic acid, right? And this is the collinear axis, because the 2 benzene nuclei, it lies in the same plane. So these are the conditions for the optical activity of this compound. The introduction of the bulky groups in the ortho position prevents the free rotation of the nuclei about the coaxis. See here, what are the ortho position? These are the ortho, and this is the meta position, and this is the para position. So in this, this is considered as the derivative of the biphenyl compound. What are the derivatives here? NO2 group is the derivative and COOH is the other group which is obtained as the derivative. So due to the presence of these derivatives at the, or due to the presence of these substituents at the ortho position, these biphenyl compounds is said to exhibit the optical activity. Now this compound is prepared by means of the Ullmann reaction. So now how we can know that this compound is exhibiting the optical activity? It is because, see here, dinitro diphenyic acid was first diphenyl compound to show the optical isomerism, and it was synthesized by the Ullmann reaction. So have you remembered that enantiomers, they are having different physical properties, right? And melting point is one of the physical property. See here, the melting point of this diphenyic acid was very low as compared to that of already known other acid, because see, since this is prepared by the scientist named Ullmann, another scientist named Skulls has also prepared the same dinitro diphenyic acid. But whenever we are comparing between the dinitro diphenyic acid prepared by the Ullmann and also the acid that is prepared by the Skulls, both are showing the different melting points. So based on these type of difference in the melting point, we get to know that this compound is exhibiting the optical isomerism, because one isomer has the one type of melting point and the other isomer is having the other type of the melting point. So based on the difference in the melting point, we can able to say that this compound exhibit the optical isomerism. So optical isomerism is exhibited by the biphenyl compound. What is the first compound that exhibit the optical isomerism? In the case of biphenyl derivatives, it is dinitroDiphenic acid. This dinitroDiphenic acid is prepared by both Ullmann and also the Skulls. So the acid which is prepared by the Ullmann is having one type of melting point, and the acid which is prepared by the Skulls, it is having the other type of the melting point. So based on the melting point, we are saying that this compound is having or exhibiting the optical isomerism because the enantiomers are having difference in their physical properties. See, the optical activity of the acid was explained as follows. So what is the first clue to know that this compound is having optical isomerism? Based on melting point we have detected. And what are the other explanations for this? See, the two benzene nuclei are collinear. That is, the two benzene nuclei lies in the same straight line. So we are saying that collinear, so that it is exhibiting optical activity. And see, the introduction of the bulky groups in the ortho position prevent the free rotation of the nuclei about the coaxis, and hence the two benzene nuclei in such ortho substituted derivatives cannot be coplanar, that is, the molecule is dissymmetric. So first one, the two benzene nuclei lies in the same plane to show the optical activity. So it is explained as the first point. Now what is the second point? See here, the ortho substitution, it consists of different groups, that is, two different groups are present in the same benzene nuclei. See, this is one benzene nuclei and this is one benzene nuclei. In one benzene nuclei you are having the COOH group and NO2, and in the other you are having NO2 in the opposite side and COOH. So based on this, it is exhibiting the optical activity. So these are the two conditions which was explained that this molecule is having the optical activity. One is two benzene nuclei lies in the same plane, and other is the ortho position is having the different substituents with respect to each benzene nuclei. So this is with respect to the optical activity of the diphenyl compounds. See, same dinitroDiphenic acid we are taking, and so we are keeping the mirror here. See, the groups are getting interchanged, NO2 COOH, and here this COOH is going up and NO2 is coming down. So the coaxial nature of the benzene nuclei in diphenyls is further established. So this is with respect to the optical activity in the diphenyl compound. So what are the conditions for the diphenyl compounds to exhibit the optical activity? They must, two benzene nuclei must lies in the same plane, and the ortho substituents, what are the ortho substituents that are present? They must be different. And next one is conditions for the diphenyl compounds to exhibit the optical isomerism. So in the diphenyl compounds, what type of compounds will exhibit the optical isomerism? See here, neither of the two rings must have a vertical plane of symmetry, that is, each ring should be unsymmetrically substituted. So next one is the conditions for the diphenyl compounds. So how these compounds are exhibiting, or what are the conditions for the compound to exhibit the optical isomerism? See here, this is the diphenyl compound which is exhibiting the optical isomerism. So the first condition is that, consider this is one ring and this is one ring, and each benzene ring should not have the vertical plane of symmetry. What is meant by vertical plane of symmetry? If we are dividing each ring by means of the vertical plane, both sides of the plane must not be the same. See here, consider only this part of the benzene ring, and I am dividing this benzene ring with the help of the vertical plane. See here, it is fluorine and here it is hydrogen. So consider, so these two parts are similar or not? No, they are not similar. See, here fluorines are absent and here fluorines are present, right? Now come to this benzene ring. Consider only right side of the benzene ring and divide the benzene ring by means of the vertical plane. See, this is fluorine and this is chlorine. and apart from that here carboxylic acid group is present, and in this plane there is no carboxylic acid groups. So the first point is satisfied, right? If you are considering the diphenyl compound, each group or each benzene ring, it should not have the vertical plane of symmetry. Neither of the two rings must have a vertical plane of symmetry. Do not confuse with the point. Neither of the two rings means these two rings must not have a vertical plane of symmetry, and each ring should be unsymmetrically substituted, right? Because see, each ring it is unsymmetrically substituted, because in this ring Cl and COOH is present, but in this chlorine and COOH is absent. So this is the first condition. So what is the first condition? Each ring should not have the vertical plane of symmetry, and also the substitutions on both the rings also must be different. Then only the compound will exhibit the optical isomerism with respect to the diphenyl compounds. So now what is the other point? That is second point. See, the ortho positions, at least two must be substituted by the large groups, that is NO2, CH3 and also the COOH. See, these are the two ortho positions in the diphenyl compounds. These are the examples with respect to the second point. So this is the ortho position and this is the ortho position. But here COOH and also the COOH are present on opposite side, and here they are present on the same side. So what is the second point or second conditions for the compound to exhibit the optical isomerism? The two ortho positions must be substituted by the bulky groups or the large groups. Then only they will be exhibiting the optical isomerism. But see, these two compounds are known as optically inactive because they are having the plane of symmetry. Because if we are dividing this molecule here, see, these two compounds are same, as well as if you are dividing the molecule in this way, these two compounds, that is COOH and also the COOH is same. So these two compounds are said to be optically inactive. Why? Because it is having plane of symmetry and it is having center of symmetry. See, if you are dividing this seventh molecule like this half, it is similar to this half. So due to plane of symmetry, this compound is optically inactive. See, due to the center of symmetry, if you are dividing this molecule through the center of the molecule, that is, if you are dividing this molecule through the center, this molecule is having the symmetrical halves. So due to center of symmetry, this compound is said to be inactive. Have you remembered the conditions for optical activity in the stereoisomerism? Chiral carbon should be present, no plane of symmetry, no center of symmetry, then only the compound is said to be the optically active. Since these compounds, they are, even though they are satisfying the condition of presence of the ortho substitutions, but due to the presence of plane of symmetry and center of symmetry, these compounds are said to be the optically inactive. So understood the second condition, the ortho positions must be substituted by the bulky groups, then only the compound will show the optical isomerism. Even though this compound is showing optical isomerism, this compound is said to be optically inactive due to the presence of plane of symmetry and also the center of symmetry. So another important example which shows the importance of the size of the ortho substituents is, see, difluorodiphenyl acids. So what is the first point we have seen with respect to the conditions for the optical isomerism or the compounds to exhibit the optical isomerism? Neither of the two rings must have the vertical plane of symmetry. This is the first point. And what is the second condition? The ortho position must be substituted by the bulky groups. Then only it will exhibit the optical isomerism. And what is the third point? See here, 9 and 10. These are the two structures. What is the difference between this 9 and 10th structure? In the 9th structure, fluorine, that is two benzene nuclei or the position, what are the groups that are substituted? Fluorine and carboxylic acid group. Whereas in the 10th structure, carboxylic acid group is similar, but this fluorine, it is replaced by that of the NO2 group. So this 9th structure and also the 10th structure, both should be optically active. That is, both should be optically, both should exhibit the optical isomerism. But this ninth structure, it is showing the racemic property also, because see, if you are comparing between fluorine and also the nitro group, this fluorine group is very small when compared to that of the nitro group. So this nitro group, it exhibit the optical isomerism more because of increase in the bulkiness of the or the substituent group when compared to the difluorodiphennic acid, because since the fluorine it is small, it will restrict the rotation of the single bond but to a lesser extent when compared to that of the nitro group. Because of the bulkiness of the nitro group, this restriction in the rotation in this 10th compound, it is more when compared to that of the 9th compound. So this 10th compound, it cannot move that freely when compared to that of the 9th compound. That is, see, consider this is fixed ring and this ring is moving because of rotation of this bond. So this molecule, it can able to rotate more freely when compared to that of this ring, that is the 10th structure. So this is other property, that is whatever groups that are substituted in the ortho position, they must be bulky groups. If small groups are present, restriction of rotation will be present, but to a lesser extent when compared to that of the other molecule. And next one, similarly, the non-resolvability of the following compounds can be explained on the basis of smaller size of the ortho substituents. These are nothing but some of the examples based on the size of the substituents. See, these are all the substituents where here small groups, that is fluorine is present, and here also fluorine is present but to a lesser extent, and these are the bulky groups. Based on the size of the bulky groups, we are explaining. The role played by the size of the ortho substituent during optical activity of the biphenyl compounds can further be well judged by following resolvable compounds. See here, these are also the ortho substituents. Here 3 ortho substituents are present, here 2 ortho substituents are present, and here also 2 ortho substituents are present. So based on the number of ortho substituents also, the compound will exhibit the optical activity. So when 2 ortho substituents in one benzene nuclei is kept same and the third is introduced into the ortho position of the another ring, the order of effectiveness for stabilizing the active form is found to be. See here, if 2 ortho positions like see 2 nitro groups, these 2 ortho positions are same, and one more ortho substituent we are introducing in the other benzene ring. So the activity will depend upon this carboxylic acid group. See here, order of reactivity is, if bromine is present in the place of carboxylic acid group, the reactivity is more. Next methyl, next chlorine, chloride, next nitro, next carboxylic acid, and also the methoxy group. So this is the order. So these are the conditions for the optical activity or the diphenyl compounds to show the optical isomerism. So how these compounds will show the optical isomerism? They should not have any vertical plane of symmetry. And second point is that the ortho positions must be substituted. And next one, the substituted ortho positions must also be the bulky groups. So if small groups are present, the optical isomerism will be present but to a lesser extent than that of the other groups. So if optical isomerism is more, we can easily separate because the 2 isomers, that is enantiomers, can be easily separated. So if these fluorine groups are present, what happens? The optical isomerism property will get decreased. So these 2 enantiomers we can separate, but it will be somewhat difficult because of racemic mixture, because these 2 enantiomers will be present in the equal composition. So it will be somewhat difficult to resolve. What is meant by resolve? It is nothing but the separation. So this is the topic of heteroisomerism and conditions for the optical activity. If you are having any doubts, you can text me. Okay, still one more topic is left. What is that? Stereo selective reactions and stereo specific reactions, that I will send it soon. In the meanwhile, please go through these topics, and in the assignments compulsorily in these 3 topics I am going to give one as the question. So please be careful and read properly, And in the meanwhile, along with these topics, please consider those first sessional topics also, because it is said to us that entire syllabus we are going to divide into in the form of the 5 questions. So please go through those topics also, stereoisomerism, named reactions and all, the third and fourth topics and all. Okay. If you are having any doubt, please ask me. Atropisomerism and conditions for optical activity. Okay, thank you.